abusia an expert what sebe omo etimi analyze black box den nsem ahodo bia betum na abusia amanfo busa question bebre say black box yi kura no sebe say obi be so odi Ghana fo awu na sebe helicopter yi crash yi sankofo na timi duru honom ntem the black box bia akoto ho sebe ye nhye da nya information bia nyetima investigations abusia amanfo ensem omo keka utimi say etos mu ne no ana special analyst bi aba forensic analyst bi outimi so ye expert pa wode ensem abegu abusia wo kyekye ensem watimi se ano odini pa ye na sa questions amanfo busa no eno ne ensem a omo ede abeto wo beka ye amanfo kyem se elase so black box yi ede ko China company na manufacture player helicopter yi no mo emfa enchemu ahodo bi mra no mo ntimi enyi recordings a sebe capture enyina famre no ana expert yi ede emu nsem ne secret bi ababa beto abusia yenkonko tie ensem ne bi mra ne ba yebeto aso ede mama refi ahaye kofi kanchuman CTV.
As we do know, there was a report that the black box has been retrieved. It's the aftermath of this helicopter. Now, we'll be finding out whether what was retrieved is actually a black box in the real sense of the word, because there's some clarity that has to be given. And in fact, this week, there's been some conversation going on as to whether what was retrieved from this Z9 helicopter is actually a black box. We do know that there's DNA forensics as well that has been done to identify the persons and then confirm that these are the individuals who were on this helicopter, and indeed they were part of the casualty that we recalled or counted on that particular day. So all 8 of them, the identities have been confirmed. We also do know that there's some other forensic investigation that's ongoing beyond just the DNA forensics as well. That is a conversation that we would have this morning. What kind or other forms of investigation will have to take place, even beyond the information on this equipment or black box, as you want to call it, any equipment that recorded any form of conversation or information even before the crash. There has to be a thorough accident, the reconstruction of that particular site, and as to how that act of the residents taking some of these debris of the helicopter could impact on what we are faced with right now. As a result of that, there's been a cash reward that has been put in place to encourage some of the residents of this Brofio Sikaman area who took some of the debris of this crashed helicopter home to return them, because it is crucial to this part of the investigation and what has been going on so far. That is the question that we are going to also get into this morning. We do know that the crash point, as far as information has been made available, was around 13 kilometers from where this accident was supposed to take. In fact, this accident happened or was recorded. What you're seeing right now, put together by a research team, Wisdom Safo and the team, this tracks the information as we have it. The Ghana Armed Forces' own statement indicated that this helicopter took off from Accra at 9:12 a.m. So that's the actual time of takeoff. The expected time of arrival, give or take, all things being equal, was supposed to be around a little over 10 a.m. that particular morning. Per the protocols of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority and other safety measures, this search and rescue procedure should have been triggered 30 minutes after there was no contact with the helicopter. We'll be finding out if indeed, if that protocol was triggered or put in place, what could have been done differently, especially when we got to know that this happened 13 kilometers away from the location where this helicopter was to land, meaning that they had done majority of the trip, right? And this Obuasi Lincoln Stadium, where this helicopter was reported to be the place of landing, either that place or that park where this event was taking place. Now, I want you to take a look at the Google Map location, what we took from Google Earth, the specific area of the Lincoln, Obuasi Lincoln Sports Stadium, where this helicopter was scheduled to land. And it gives you a clear idea of why questions have been raised as to what exactly could have been done differently, or what caused this particular accident or this crash, as we have seen, and what has to go into the investigation, especially questions about the crash site, what has been done at the crash site, questions also about whether or not there was any information at the time with this search and rescue protocol in place, and whether it was triggered as well. This is the Dampia Rainforest, is where we understand this unfortunate incident took place. This, what you're seeing on the screen, is the Lincoln Stadium, the expected landing place of this helicopter, which was 13 kilometers away from the crash site in this Dampia Range Forest Reserve near Brofidru, Sikaman, in the Ashanti region. This was just to give you a clear idea of how the place looks from the Google Earth perspective. It give you a mind's eye of how this trip that never ended was supposed to have ended. Unfortunately, we're having to deal with 8 lives lost as a result of this. There are a number of questions on the minds of many, which we're going to try to seek answers this morning. And these are the questions and the matter of investigation and the transparency of the investigation itself. Are we going to handle this as one top secret investigation, or ensure full transparency with the public being carried along? Now, there are questions as to the extent of the transparency that is being demanded as well, because it's not everything that can be put in the public domain. Second question, this search and rescue protocol compliance. Was this SAR action triggered within the required 30 minutes after no contact? Also, questions about the aircraft worthiness, the airworthiness of this Z9. There's one person who is joining us this morning who knows and understands the workings of this particular helicopter and the exact duty, the function that it was supposed to play in our defense architecture as a country. With this foundation laid, and this is going to be a forward-looking, progressive conversation, because beyond the mourning and the wailing, answers must be given. Joining me in the studio this morning is Colonel Festus Abuaje. He is a retired security officer. He served his country well and has also been contributing to the development of this country in many ways. Colonel Festus Abuaje, retired security expert, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to you. Hello, Colonel, good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you so much. Thank you very much for joining us. Also joining us this morning is Kofi Bentil, is the Vice President of policy think tank Imani Africa, and also a private legal practitioner. Mr. Bentil, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
So this is your first time being here on Key Point. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making the time to join us. Also joining us for this first time in a long while, Emmanuel Bombande is a former Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister and an expert in mediation and peace building. So Bombande, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting me.
Perfect. Also with us this morning is the CEO of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Professor of Political Science, Professor Ransford Jampo. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. No preliminary comments today because I'm still mourning.
Indeed, and that's very well understood. And that leads us straight into what the conversation is for the morning. I'll start off with you, Mr. Bonde, because a number of us have had the opportunity to also talk about this tragic incident and also paying tribute to the fallen heroes. But I haven't heard you publicly make your position clear on this. So please, initial.
Yes, so let me take this opportunity and with your kind invitation to express my profound condolences to our fallen, gallant servicemen, our comrades, and indeed our heroes. This hit me at a very bad time. I was working in one of our sister African countries, facilitating dialogue with high-level political leaders with that country preparing for elections. And I was 2 hours ahead of Ghana. And I thought I first saw just the description of something that was not specific. People were literally like exclaiming, "What?" And then I shut my phone and went into this dialogue that I was facilitating. Then later on, I started to get snippets. And strangely, it was the people I was working with who were following and rather updating me about the tragedy that had befallen my country. And it affected my day, it affected the way and manner I could proceed. And let me say that it dawned on me that when collectively we are hit by such tragic news that begins to unfold and we are together, a bond of solidarity probably helps a lot to try and understand what is happening, more than when you are out alone and lost in what you might describe as a situation in which you are a stranger in a different land. And I recall that day to be very, very difficult. And since I came back, I've been following. Whilst I was out, I've been following. And all I can say is to all of you who have been very active in trying to bring, in my view, the type of conversation that makes all of Ghana to make meaning and to have sense of what happened is very, very important for our healing, for the healing of the immediate family, the extended family, and all the friends, and to all of us collectively. And I'm sure as we go forward, I'll be able to talk about how this type of tragedy, as all of you have called, beginning with the president, it's the new call for a new sense of national unity, the type of unity that goes beyond just talking about unity, but trying to look at how we do things differently now in our politics, in the way we fight against corruption, and in the way the effort of nation building continues to progress in a way that holds all of us together and binds us together as a country. Thank you so much.
And I do thank you very much for sharing those words in honor of the heroes that we have lost. Now, this week we saw a number of things. The Chief of Defense Staff give an update, or they responded to some questions for the first time in public about this tragic incident. But first of all, about it, we do know a number of things. That this helicopter was expected to land at the Lincoln Stadium. We'll show the Lincoln Stadium, the expected landing point on the screen. Also, the crash point was around 13 kilometers from this particular Lincoln Stadium. So they had covered most part of the trip. And this helicopter crashed into a mountain 725 feet high, correct?
Approximately.
Approximately. Now, at what time was this search and rescue protocol supposed to kick in? And from your own reading of how things played out, did it kick in within this period?
First of all, let me follow in the good steps of my brother Emmanuel. And because I've not been here since the story broke, the tragic incident, I want to use the opportunity once again to express very sincere condolences to the bereaved families. And I think we saw some of them, at the funeral yesterday. And by extension to the entire nation. It's a bit early to jump to the recovery phase, which is what you are talking about, or the search and rescue followed by the recovery. You may permit me,
please,
to explain that the type of helicopter that we call the Z9s, which came into the country in 2015, were initially based in Accra Air Force Base.
Right.
In 2019, the Air Force Chief of Staff, or Chief of Air Staff, decided to send them to Takoradi as their home. So whether they are flying or not flying, they are based at Takoradi, which supposes that the plane had left Takoradi. We know that it left Takoradi on 2nd August on a Medivac, not that it flew empty. Right. It brought a patient to Accra. But because there was a mission, a VIP mission on the 6th, all three of them who had come with a plane from Takoradi stayed in Accra. This would suggest that the plane, as of the 2nd, was airworthy.
Right, as of the 2nd of August.
Yes. Then, as you said, 12 minutes after 9 a.m. on the 6th, it took off. Some of the conversation in the media spaces is that it went off radar, and therefore something might have happened. When a plane goes off radar, it does not mean that it was encountering an emergency. All it means is that based on the location of the flight, vis-a-vis the air control tower, the radar, which is line of sight, cannot find the plane. It cannot, see the plane.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that it could have crashed.
It doesn't necessarily mean that it was under stress, had crashed, or whatever it is.
Or had many mechanical.
But I'm saying let's use the empirical evidence and contextualize the idea of flying or going off the radar. It happened around 14 minutes after takeoff, 0926. But it did not happen anywhere in the eastern region or the southern part of Ashanti region. The impact happened 27 minutes later. So for 27 minutes, this Z9 was flying. All of us are Ghanaians. We know that between Accra and Obuasi, there are several towns and villages, including my own Jasua and Konongo. If indeed during the 27 minutes, the Z9 was under stress, the pilot, like on the 11th at Nkoko, would have found some open place
like a
in
school
the
park or something.
several towns and villages along the path to land. So I'm trying to suggest to Ghanaians that This idea that some people are, pejorative, whatever it is, in the media spaces, though the plane had a hazard and so on, it's not very likely. At least not during the 27 minutes.
I see.
So that brings us to the impact zone, which we know is a hill range.
Yes.
Now we say a hill range, but it's a series of ridges. It's not just one Dampier range. There are probably a couple of other ridges. When I checked yesterday again on Mercator,
Right.
which is like Google, Dampier is on the northern side, Sikama is on the northern side of Dampier. But we were expecting that the plane was flying from Accra. So the impact, if at all, should have happened on the southern side of the range. Well, maybe it did, maybe it did not, but probably Dampier was the closest, and you could only access it from the northern side.
Right.
All of this suggests that the terrain, as I've been saying, was not a walk in the park. On this set here, a few days ago, people were saying that why didn't the Ghana Armed Forces get to the impact site within 1 hour? And for that matter, therefore, the Ghana Armed Forces is useless. Let me give you a bit of the time and space calculations. From Dampier, if you talk to those who went up there, including Ibrahim Abubakar,
Yes. That's outside.
from Sikaman to the impact site is 1.5 hours to 2 hours climbing. I am told that several people who came with the regional minister from Obuasi and attempted to get there gave up and went back to the village. So it's not an impact site where, like here, you just take your bags and start walking. You are climbing. And if you have been in a hilly area, your knees will be buckling like that. By 12:40, the lead elements, military, from the forward operating base in Obuasi, had reached Sikamai by 12:40 hours. Now again, we are not talking quantum mechanics. So from Obuasi to Sikamai, you cannot just get the warning and then immediately be at Sikamai. It took them some time. I don't know when they got the warning, whatever it is, but by 12:40 they were there. Shortly before 2 o'clock, the military was at the impact site. Remember, it takes